breathe. It was pretty frightening.
Wow.
Quick question. You going to ski tomorrow?
Tomorrow I got calls, like I'm all messed up tomorrow. So Thursday and Friday is open.
Okay, Rich and I are going tomorrow.
Yeah, should be good. The snow was great yesterday,
Oh, good.
but there's just a lot of people there. I have to tell you, it's busy.
Really?
Oh yeah, the parking lot was full. The main parking lot was full, and the Pistol parking lot was half full on Monday. So
Now, they had races over the weekend, but there was none of that going on, right?
no, it's just all families. I mean, they're taking time off and skiing with their kids. Let's see. I gotta find. Yeah, I gotta find this. Oh,
Bob, there was a friend of mine over at Sugar Bush. He and his wife and 2 kids came down with COVID. He's now in the hospital.
Oh,
Really?
boy.
when did that happen? This past weekend?
Just this week.
Because my daughter and her husband were up at Sugar Bush this weekend.
Yeah, I know. That's just the thing. You even there, you can go, but you can't get too close.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they do like beer, but that's all. You know.
I walked into CMC, and it looked like they had a metal detector there at the door. And I went in and it beeped. And I held up my wrist to the gal behind the desk and said, "Hey, I got some metal in my wrist. I ain't carrying." She said, "No, that was taking your temperature."
Okay, I got that.
Let's see who we got. We got everybody? Let's see.
The room is too small. I can't see who it is. There's one. I can see Scott. I can see Roger.
Septic tank, the driveway there.
Yeah, we're all
The
here,
hill, I'm working down with it.
the rest of us.
I got Drew. It's right on the guy's board. The lots are so small, they want plans.
Yeah.
So it's like
No.
these steep bankings.
No, yeah, you have to, yeah, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Probably just gonna
Hey, Paul? Paul?
build
Are you
a
there?
wall.
Hey,
No,
Paul.
we don't have,
Oh,
We don't have Paul?
Paul's here.
you know what meeting?
Paul or Rochelle?
wrong committee.
No,
You're at the wrong meeting.
Oh, wrong committee, that's right. Never mind.
It'll be okay.
I got too many committees.
Check your pulse.
All right, well, let's get this thing going. You know, that clock over there is running a little slow. We got to read the official, until further notice, to keep our members and staff safe and to comply with RSA 91-A, the COVID-19 state of emergency, and the governor's orders on restrictions at public gatherings. The town of Alton has moved from in-person meetings to remote audio participation meetings. To remotely attend the meeting, visit our website, www.alton.nh.gov, for telephone access and Zoom access instructions listed under the news and announcements on the home page. If you are having difficulties accessing the meeting, please call 603-507-1002. So with that, let's call this meeting to order. And do we need to do a roll call? We're just a workshop, right?
I would just, yeah. I
Still
would.
gonna do roll call? All right, so let's do a roll call here, starting with Roger.
Roger Sample here.
Scott Williams here.
Roger McDonald here.
Bill O'Neill here.
Drew Carter is here and on screen.
Tom Hopes is here and alone.
Russ Wilder here, alone.
Bob Regan, all by myself.
Hey,
And can we just announce, we have Lee Hillsgrove, our prospective alternate, is in the audience.
yep, so.
Yep.
Was that the announcement?
That's the announcement.
That's the announcement, all right.
It was easy.
And I've got to apologize if I sound funny talking. I have stitches in the roof of my mouth. I have not been drinking.
Shucks.
All right.
Yeah. So I guess on our agenda, and I don't know if we want to start with the site plan review regulations. It seems like we've got the most work to do on that. But there was a memo circulated back in May of 2019 along with the working draft of the site plan review regulations. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to go through, but everything that was changed in this has all been highlighted in red. I did go through it quite a while ago, and I had notes on it as well, but I don't know if anybody else had any thoughts or comments, or just to kind of highlight, this was done by Nick Strong, but she coordinated definitions to match those in the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. The definitions for the terms or words that are not used anywhere in the site plan regulations have been deleted. Reference to multiple duplexes in the residential rural district has been added. State statutes are referenced correctly. Requirements for the as-built plans have been added. Correct number of plans are required. Details have been added to the personal wireless service facility section to match recent updates on the zoning ordinance, and other spelling, grammatical, and typographical errors have all been fixed. So, it's no small feat, I'm sure. So, did anybody else have any other thoughts or comments, or?
I had a couple of random things, and I do mean random. See if I can figure out what page 6, I think, under automobile service stations. I don't know if it's appropriate at this time or something for the future, but as we go down the road 5 years from now, I can envision charging stations being a significant thing to concern ourselves with.
Good thought.
Yeah. EV, electric vehicle charging stations?
Yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Again, 5 years from now, I can see that being something of an issue.
It'll be a big deal.
So my suggestion is that we just add that to the list of things to be considered there.
So would you like me to add that to the list for Zach items to talk about? Because that would be a change to the zoning ordinance too, right?
Yes,
I
because
personally feel,
the likelihood, Scott, is that any kind of hotel, motel, housing, bed and breakfast, they're going to want to have that kind of a charging station. So we got to make arrangements for that.
but how does it really differ from a gas station? Well, the essence is basically there. I mean, my tenant over in the center there, they put a Tesla charging station there. They said, "Do you mind?" I said, "No, I don't mind. I mean, who would have thunk it's
Well,
a zonable thing?" I mean,
I think for private use is one thing, but for public use, it's quite a different set of requirements.
You know, they have them at Target. I mean, they don't have gas stations there, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
but they have a parking space.
They have them at Home Depot down there.
Yeah.
They have 15 of them set up.
yeah.
Most of the motels I stay at up in Quebec always have at least 2 or 3 parking spaces with charging units.
Yeah.
Right, but the question here, is it a zonable thing? I mean, or is it a regulation thing? I mean, that's what
It's
we're
a
talking about
permissible
here.
thing, I would think.
I don't, what goes in a parking space, it goes in a parking space.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not
the
a
parking-
regular, I mean, they can go anywhere, like, you got them at your house.
Yeah.
It's just an electric.
Again, I think there are different safety considerations if it's in a private, if it's in a private, private occupancy building versus a public,
They wire
publicly
it right into houses.
accessible.
I mean, how is it a safety consideration? I mean,
They're
that's,
putting it in their private house, we shouldn't have a right to.
Well, I think that would be covered under the building inspector at that.
well, even,
Okay.
even in the parking lot, you have to get a permit to do electrical work, he needs to inspect it.
Yep.
And that's
Okay.
subject to state inspection if the state inspector comes
And we
by.
already tell them how many parking places they gotta have. So if they want to change one to a charger, then I
Yeah,
would feel that's up to in
I,
John.
I don't think this board or any board should get tied up with how to plug in a darn car.
Well,
I think that, you know, it's a good point to bring up, but I'm not sure that it's necessary to regulate it. If it becomes a problem for some reason, then we could revisit it, but I don't, just off the top of it, I know, you know, we have a free charging station at the Lakes Region Conservation Trust headquarters that runs off our solar panels. And we just allow people to use it, and Center Harbor didn't say anything about it, so.
well, as I said in the outset, it was a random,
Well, it's a good
random
thought.
thought. It's good that we talked about it.
And Jessica, if they were gonna come in, say they were gonna put in like they did in Rochester, 15 of them, they would have to come in front of this board anyways, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
For a commercial site of it.
Right.
But I guess the point,
Right,
the
but
point
what
being
use
that if
does
we
that
didn't,
fall under?
right, if
That's
we don't
how-
have any regulation in place for a commercially operated electric charging station like, you know,
Right,
like you
'cause
see
this
out
is
on the
like-
highways and stuff.
This is very specific to
Maybe it would be
gasoline.
good to ask John to look into it.
But is the gasoline because of like waste? You know, the gasoline and oil, and because of the waste, and how much waste is there with
Let
an
me ask
electric
you this.
charging,
Can you add,
you know?
like
All right,
automobile working or something?
Right, maybe the existing definition could be included.
We have service station and then we have service center.
Right, that's what I was.
Because when I did the center over there, if I had a service station with gasoline pumped, I wouldn't have needed a variance from the ZBA. But where I had a service station, a auto service place, I had to get a ZBA waiver for that. And it just kind of perplexed me why I'd have to have that, because gasoline, I think, would be the hot button on the
Yeah.
ZBA situation. Not- You know, and it was changed. We realized that it made, you know, and then Zach fixed that. But it does, some things sometimes don't make sense.
I think the concept,
Yeah, you can make comments. You're,
You got one up there on the, go ahead, Tom.
I think originally what we were talking about, Scott, was what kind of drains there had to be if there was going to be draining oil and other materials there that weren't in.
it happens at
Fine
both
area.
of them. But anyway,
That's
let's
how
not
we
belabor
go.
on that.
Yeah, so let's, we get back to the EV charging
Lee
station.
just asked if he could say something.
That's just when you guys are talking about personal at home, I would think the insurance companies would be probably getting involved with that also.
Yeah.
Most of the insurance companies, especially if you get any flammable liquids around,
Especially with battery blowing up.
if it's near a propane tank or something like that, or your insurance company's gonna step in and say yay and nay.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, my gut says that you're right, on a personal or private level, that it's covered under building and code enforcement and building permits and that electrical permits. I think it is worth us kind of putting our heads around maybe a larger commercial operation coming into town and saying, I want to put up, you know,
Charging vending machines.
yeah, 30 charging, you know, machines that people slide their credit cards in and you know, so that may be something that's worth checking out. They are low impact. I know that on all the developments that I build, it's a developer choice to add the EV stations because that's what people want. And it's not a requirement of a town to add them if they're doing a multifamily development.
Right. And maybe we could check with John to see what the National Electric Code says about these things,
Right.
That's true, too.
you know?
Also, you should be concerned about spacing, because if one pack catches on fire from faultiness. I know, the reason I'm saying that is out in Colorado, when I went to visit my son.
Tom left. Oh.
You couldn't have them certain distances, you couldn't have them right next to each other in parking spaces. Because
I think the electric code would cover that.
They're pretty close down there in
they
Rochester.
had electric code for a car.
Well, they have, I'm sure charging station is a chapter in the, I'm sure they have it now.
I'm sure they do.
I have not looked at it because I have better things to do than read that ugly book.
Hey, Russ, you there?
Yeah, I am. The thing just cut out on me.
Yeah, we lost your video.
Yeah, I can't figure out how to get it back.
Well, we can hear you. That's all right.
Did you turn his
He might have
camera
turned
off?
his camera off. He might have
Yeah,
turned
it said
off.
camera off.
Yeah,
Had the picture of
Now
a
you're going
camera
all
flash to it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back as a,
yeah, but his camera's
Yeah, I
off.
see
Where?
it. I don't know. It's
Russ,
never, this has never happened before, so
He
Yeah,
numbed it on Russ or something?
I'll try to figure it out. I think it's on my end, so.
yeah, it could be.
Yeah, he's got a
Video
camera.
card just died too.
Oh,
Do you have any grandchildren there to help you?
No, it's the dog chewing on the wires.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I don't know, unless you wanna maybe log out and log back in.
yeah, I might try that.
All right.
Meanwhile, Drew, I thought your list was very good.
Yeah,
I went
I
through-
did go through and edited it again, just crossed a lot of stuff off.
Yeah, but that, like, for instance, the definition under 74 for the marina, I thought that was a really good point, that you drop the and add an or.
Yeah.
I had another random one,
Next random one off.
if you guys are ready for it. This one should be less discussion. Simply to switch the order on page 8, paragraph number 22 and number 23, I would suggest that we just flip them around.
What were they?
22 and 23.
Well, except that they're in alphabetical order.
Conceptual consultation ahead of completed application.
Except for they're in alphabetical order.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't recognize that. Never mind.
You're
As
right,
you
there was
said,
short
random.
discussion. All right, do you have another random one, Bob?
I'm checking.
Are you sure they were in alphabetical order?
I had a question mark.
Looks like they are.
I see some L's and some H's for it.
I had a
Yeah,
question
totally.
mark on paragraph number 73, manufactured housing. I understand that we're gonna be looking at that, in
73?
number
What
73.
paragraph?
That's on page
Page
15.
15.
Yeah, so this was a recent edit here.
Page 15.
Oh, you thought it said 73.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry, Lee, page 15.
Yeah, Article 73.
Or definition 73, yeah.
Page 15, paragraph 73 in red.
Yeah, I think my question mark had to do with, that this was some time ago, and since then, things like tiny houses and so forth, and cabins, I think the planning board is gonna have a subcommittee looking at that anyway. So I just thought I'd flag it.
I got a question for you.
Yeah,
What do you do when somebody buys a 28-foot modular? Because this is
Yeah.
40 feet or more.
Yeah, this isn't.
I mean, you get them down to 26 feet.
And we want to make sure there is no confusion between modular and manufactured. Manufactured, the frame stays with the unit and the wheels. Modular, the structure is lifted off of the transporters and put on a foundation. That is a clear difference.
You can buy them down to 26 feet.
You can dive down to 23.8.
Yeah, you know what I mean? This is 40 feet or longer for a manufactured housing.
And you can go up to 60 feet long on these.
So this
Then
one
do we
reference,
need a definition for modular? Because we don't have one.
Yeah. Well, it's the manufactured housing, it's 40 feet or better, but you can buy them a lot shorter than that.
Yep.
And it's still a manufactured housing. You know what, you see what I'm saying?
yeah, so this is referencing a specific RSA though, that this definition comes from. So maybe we need to explore that a little bit deeper.
What is meant by that RSA?
Yeah,
I mean, because do they follow this when they come in with one 32 foot? Because it ain't 40 feet or longer? Or 36 footer?
It shouldn't this be maybe tiny house, because it's 320, no, I don't know, maybe not, no, 320 square feet or more. I don't know what to tell you.
So manufactured is modular.
No,
No.
a modular is a modular.
Right. There's
Well,
two
it
separate
says
there.
manufactured home, structure transportable in one or more sections, put on a permanent chassis.
Tom, the
Yep.
key is the frame that transports it.
Right.
If the frame stays with the unit that transports it, it's a manufactured home.
Oh, you bet.
If it comes on a metal frame and it is lifted off of the metal frame and onto a foundation, that is a modular.
Well, all right, we don't have a definition for modular.
Well,
I
then
was
we
just
should,
looking.
because they're built every year in this town.
Yeah, they're built all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see one either.
all right, so Russ, can you hear us okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
We
no, I
can't
don't
hear him.
know. Maybe somebody ran into a telephone pole or something. I don't know.
I don't know, but your lips aren't moving to the way you're talking, I'll tell you that.
But just so you
Yeah,
guys
but I
had a
wanna get-
question on number 73?
Yeah, so I just want to get everybody kind of caught up that it was busy just then. So there's a question between manufactured housing and modular
Right.
housing. And that we need to distinguish between the two.
Because you've got it down here just as 40 feet or longer, but you can get them down to 26 feet or.
I've seen
26 feet.
four-box modulars at 28 feet long by 28 feet deep.
Right.
They're a little tiny colonial, and they're 4 boxes.
Yeah, I've seen
But,
26.
yeah,
They put them together on site, right?
sure,
Yeah.
they crane them into
Take
position.
them off and put them
Oh,
together.
I've seen
You know,
even these.
In a manufactured house, you will not get in a story. That's one of the things, that will stay on, like, all the ones in, Merry Meeting Resort down there, those are all now double-wide manufactured homes. And a lot, it's a trailer. A lot of times, those people will like to call themselves
Wheels are under.
modulars, just because the modulars, traditionally, it's a stick-built home in a factory environment, where a manufactured house is not.
Yep. All right.
You know what I mean? Because 40 feet or longer, you can get these things a hell of a lot shorter.
Right, but isn't this red part being deleted?
No, this red part was added, actually.
Okay.
Red part's new. We should have something
So-
modular though.
All right, well, that's a great point, so we should definitely be checking that out.
The one that went right across the lake from me this fall, it was up in a day.
Yeah.
All
Oh.
four pieces or 5 pieces.
I've put in over 250 modulars in my career, so I'm well familiar with what they are. Matt, one on an island, right, Virgil? He operated the crane,
That's
the barge.
Did my house.
Bob, what else you got for random?
Well, the next random is paragraph 75, talking about the master plan. I thought the last one was published in 2005. This says 2007. And I just looked at the copy I had and I couldn't find a date on it.
Okay.
So I think we just have to verify the date on the current master plan.
Okay.
That's a Hawkeye, Bob, pretty strong.
Ready for my next random one?
Absolutely.
The definition of street, road, highway And for some reason, I highlighted that as something to talk about.
Oh, you're on 112, Bob?
Number 112,
112.
Yeah, on page 19,
yep.
because it says in Cleveland, the full width. Now, let me ask you this. Are we gonna start checking when we give out permits or anything else to make sure they're back from that right-of-way width on that road?
Giving permits for what?
Houses, foundations,
19,
anything like that? Because
paragraph 112.
I know we run into it, we run into it over, School Street and stuff. That's a 66-foot road. Well, you ain't got 66 feet there with them houses.
Right.
They ran into it over on Stockbridge, that they just put a brand new house on,
That's a good point.
and that's in the right of way.
Good point.
So that's why I'm asking, are we gonna put something in here to make sure that we're not giving permission to build up next to a right of way, whether we know it or not? We're gonna either check them or,
Right, that's a good question.
you know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
stop, we don't run into problems when we go to do these roads again.
Yeah, so the zoning amendment that was recently gone through kind of clarified that, those setbacks and what it applies to. And I don't know about like School Street, did they?
No, well, those have been there.
Yeah, yeah.
Stockbridge, they just put one up. It's 15 feet off the road.
Yeah, yeah, I was wondering how they got away with that.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking, is there a way we can put it in here that either the planning officer, somebody checks what the right-of-ways are in there? I know the surveys and stuff are supposed to check that.
Yeah.
But somehow they're still sliding through.
Yeah. Well, it certainly should be all part of that building permit process with the submission of that
Well,
survey plan and.
That's where you use the,
Foundation certification plan.
you use what's his name's road index. And he
Right.
has all the right of ways there. So when you pull a permit, okay, say that's Stockbridge Corner Road, that one's 50 feet, or you go over to School Street and you say, oh my, that one's 66 feet, it's 4 rods, because that's what that one is.
Yeah.
You know, so it can be weird, some are 35. Mount Major Park or Roger Street, that's 35 feet. In some pinch spots, it's down to 25. So,
Same with Lily Pond, goes 35, 30, cuts into 20, then back to 50. I mean, it's what they got from different farmers back then in the right-of-ways. Yeah.
yeah, because those are all donated land, basically.
Right.
Like I've offered the state before Tangway's house to straighten that corner off, so, and they don't seem like they're interested.
So, and I had, while we're on 112 though, I had a note on 112 as well that, lawfully exiting the town of Alton, whether private or town maintained servicing 3 or more dwelling units, but seemed to me that this should also apply to businesses and not just residential homes.
Should apply to everything.
Right. So,
Is it possible to just take out, just say whether private or town maintained, period?
Yeah, I agree with that. That makes sense. That's really not necessary. It's a road, period. I mean, who cares who maintains it?
This is what I'm saying.
I got a
That you
question.
have to build the full one, right?
Too far without knowing what the
Still
hell
not
we're
saying
doing.
including the full width of the
Yeah, what
right
does
of
this
way. It's
mean?
not saying you gotta build the whole.
Everything is deleted.
Yeah.
What is deleted?
including the full width of its right-of-way lawfully exiting existing in the town of Alton.
That doesn't mean you have to build the full the full width, does it, Jess?
And the key here is 3 dwellings, because you can have a shared driveway at 2.
It's the full width
And
of the right of way, not the road.
Well, what's written in black is already existing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think this isn't so much about building the road as it is trying to clarify, saying you have a
Mark the
road
right of
here,
ways.
a street, a highway, a private drive, a private road, whatever. It exists here. You need to consider it and its full right-of-way width when you consider that road.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it's saying.
Well, like at Main Street here, I mean, it's a 66-foot right-of-way, and that encompasses a lot of people's front porches. Really, it does.
But the
Down on the lake, they're charging people for crossing
On state land.
Coming down to Back Bay Bridge, they sent the people lease letters. The state wants to lease them where their docks are and stuff now.
And there's even,
Because that-
and there's a home over the hill there.
So they want them to pay lease money to the state to use them.
But
Because that
what
right
they're
away,
trying to,
look at all their houses, so it's either move your house,
Yeah.
or lease the lot.
And you remember Fred Brown's house there?
I was just looking at that.
That house, the whole thing's on state land, yeah.
So I'm sorry, you guys, Tom, were you about to say something? I'm sorry.
Hold on.
no, I was trying to say something, but what I think this is trying to do is saying that the right of way is the street, roadway, highway. It just wants to make sure that it's not just the paved portion, it's the entire right of way that's legal. It's just defining it. That's it.
I agree with that statement. But do we think, it looks like it was added here that that it has to be serving 3 or more dwelling units, but
I don't think you
we
need
spelled
that.
right out.
I don't think you need that. I think you can just say there's a right of way for any road, whether it's a private or a town maintained road. And, because it's listed somewhere like in the registry of deeds that this is the boundary of this road.
You want to just put a period?
Yes.
Yeah, the town has a deed, I imagine, to all their roads. I mean, that would make sense, I think, don't they?
But if it's a private road driveway like some of the early ones that are only 15 feet wide,
Yeah,
There
but Tom, it's whatever that right of way is.
Right.
Yeah,
only
the key is the width of the
the
right
right
of
of way
way.
is less than what the road is in some cases, like Sawmill Road and all those other little tiny things out in Echo Point.
Yeah, but I think that those are just errors that eventually need to be fixed maybe, but we
No,
don't.
it can't be fixed.
But why don't we have to, I don't think we should put it in this rule here, in the regs. You're just trying to do a definition of what a street or a road
Right.
is.
Right, but in other words, can you define a driveway as a road?
No,
No.
No.
No, this is
No.
a,
That's the point I'm trying to say. If it's accessing 3 or more houses, it could simply be a driveway.
but
no, it can't. Under 911 rules, anything over two structures on a driveway, if a third one goes there, it has to have a 911 and a street address. So it becomes a street at 3 via 911.
But it can still be 15 feet wide.
Yes, it could.
Good. Yeah, so just get rid of the last thing, whether it's a private or a town maintained road, whatever width it happens to be, and just get rid of serving 3 or more dwellings. It just ties you up in knots when you do that.
Do we have a history of why that was put in there?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Before we go too much further, I have a question.
Yeah, so Roger, go ahead.
I don't know what the hell we're doing. I looked at, everything is deleted. I see it's deleted.
Yeah, so let me show you.
I have no idea what we're doing.
Okay.
I like
Disabled.
Okay, so for instance, deleted, so then that means this was a different number at one point. So that used to be number 79.
Now
So
it's
if you deleted
103.
79, now it's 103.
Okay. all right.
Deleted number 80, now it's 104.
Okay, cool.
So
That-
electronic one,
That's
this
a
is,
big help because those are
Yep.
numbers. I couldn't see. what-
yeah, so the
Okay.
same thing. That was deleted and then some more wording was added. So over here, same thing, all
So
these are
when were these,
renumbered.
did we just do these deletions? Were these done
So these
before?
are just proposals.
These
So
are
this was Nick that
proposals.
went through this whole thing and did all these proposals that you guys are looking at.
Okay.
So that's why there's a whole bunch of deleted things, because it's just renumbered. Or adding a note or reference in, besides just the numbering.
Because this one here goes down to the page number.
Right, so that, because at one point down over here, there was, a hyperlink to wherever this document was located in the computer. So there's just a bunch of cleanup stuff. So yeah, it looks like you're wondering what the heck are all these deletions?
Right.
But that's what that is.
No, it used to
Looks a
have
little
92 as its
I agree.
number, now it's
But
like
that's what
111.
they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
If you follow the red line all the way across the page, that's what it's addressing to.
In some cases, if something was deleted a long time ago, the date reference is given too.
Yeah.
Done with that one?
I think we're done with, 112.
Can we go to 116?
So,
Because I think we should remove C completely. Because I don't think, giving the power company the right to put power through your land constitutes a subdivision. Right now, when you and the power company, you give them a 15-foot right-of-way for their lines to go through.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, when
You
you,
have to come in here for site plan review and the subdivision.
when you,
Power.
when you do a subdivision for the co-op,
That's,
you give them a blanket easement over the whole thing. Have at it, guys.
that's right. But the way this is reading, say I ran power to the back field.
Yeah.
I have to come in for a subdivision. I shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't
come
have
in
to
for
do
a
that,
site
no.
plan review or a subdivision to give them
So
right away.
if you give the,
Or you want to run power to the back.
if you give the Conservation Commission an easement, is that a subdivision?
No, this is granted to a public, this is only to a public utility.
You'd have to
You know,
come in for a subdivision.
in the-
yeah, so hang on, I think, was that Russ who just said that?
Yeah, I mean, it says, C says the grant of an easement to a public utility, not to an
Public
individual.
utility for purpose of placing, maintaining underground or overhead wires.
Yeah,
Right.
but keep going, for its transmission or distribution network. This isn't just serving your property. This is
Right.
talking about running a new thoroughfare down to Massachusetts from Quebec.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that this
Well,
is
that depends
only,
how you read it, because I don't read it like that. I read it as if you're putting in poles and they're putting power up to the backfield or whatever, then you're putting in the poles, the wire, the cable, whatever you're putting in.
Yeah,
So this could be played two ways. It should be worded better then.
okay.
So it's just commercial, not.
There is a protection on the town already in place, because if you have a meter, John has to come down, approve it, he puts his sticker on it, the power company will set the meter. So,
But this is not what this is saying.
well, I know, but the thing about it is if the town needs to be maintained to this stuff, and I think they'll know about it by the building inspector.
That's right, but I'm looking at it as, you shouldn't have to come in front of a board that's not
Right.
easy to get through.
Right, no.
He's talking about putting in a whole subdivision.
Yeah, hang on, guys. I think we're reading, we missed a couple of key words here. Shall not be construed as a subdivision under this title, and shall not be deemed to create a new division of land for any other purpose.
Just a shunt, you know,
Right.
through the woods, and they use that property, you know, and
But
run the poles through and the line, whether it's aerial or
You don't have to
underground.
subdivide.
They don't have to subdivide anything. It's just it's a right of way to use the property.
Then it should be worded better.
well, no, it's pretty clear, I think. It says it's not a subdivision.
No,
Right, you gotta just read
It's
through
clear
the,
to me because I've seen this happen in town where they twist these ordinances around. And and it should be clearly worded so it can't be.
Well, I think it's clear. How would you change it?
Yeah. Easement of person.
The last sentence is pretty clear.
What you're saying,
Should
you
have
put
put-
the tower up on your property and you run lines up there, you gotta put a subdivision in.
Right.
well,
That's what I'm worried
that's
about.
a site plan.
It's still the same thing as a,
But that's what I'm worried about.
Well,
Say commercial distribution or something.
Yeah,
what happens if you're just putting a small shed up on your property and you wanna run 4 lengths of telephone poles up there because.
you can do that.
Says right here,
You can do it.
Right,
But it says repeaters and supporting apparatus, including an unstaffed structure.
shall not be construed
As a subdivision.
as a subdivision.
C. Section C, right down at the bottom.
And then right below it, the next line after the comma, and shall not be deemed to create any new division of land. I mean, they probably were redundant in that last sentence because it already said it up above.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think it is pretty clear. I can see what you mean though, Virgil. I mean, the first time I read it and I saw subdivision,
That sucked you in.
it sucked me in, and
This covers like cellular towers and also shunt throughways for power. That, it looks like it covers both. Because you still have for even the cellular towers, you still need cables to get to them to feed them.
Well, I know the Prospect Tower, when they built that, they came in and got a site plan for the tower on the mountain. They got it. They didn't have to do anything else to run the poles to it.
They got one beside us, across the street from me.
The tower?
Yeah.
Oh, up, yeah, down there, yeah, up at Chamberlain's.
Yeah, I think.
Marguerite's.
Light up all the time.
All right, so we're good with C?
I think we're okay with that. You're okay with that, Virgil?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I had a note on that, but I crossed it off. All right, Bob, what's your next one?
You ready for my last random item?
Absolutely.
Will we get into the serious ones after this? Is that what it is, or?
Well, you'll really enjoy this one. Page 72. It's the dealing with stump dumps and using
what?
stumps as fill or not.
72.
Page 72.
Yeah, which line?
528 is the section in which A, B, C, D.
ABC. It's that whole set of regulations there that I flagged. And I think the reason that jumped out at me was the time that we did a site walk at the gravel pit, and there were all these stumps laying around to be buried. And
Yeah, one thing that
just
cannot
wanna
be
make
done
sure
by
that
state,
we've got that covered in the regulation.
by state law, Bob, already, you cannot dig into the water table and bury a stump.
That's right.
You can bury them above ground in slopes, reclaiming a pit, you put them in the slope and you fill them there. That's the accepted practice that's used in that operation, but you cannot dig them into the water table because the tannic acid that comes out of the stump is not good for the groundwater.
That's the problem they're having in the door.
Bob,
Okay.
if you look
So-
at the note next to it, so it states if that's the intention, then that needs to be indicated on the plan, that you have a stump dump location.
Right, and usually if someone comes in for a subdivision and they have an area that's suitable to do that, they'll highlight it on their future
Yeah.
location to store old stumps.
Just as an aside for you, Scott, just an interesting story. Irving Roberts was the one that told me that the old, what I guess would be called 28, the original 28, that went down into South Wolfboro. He said all of that was built with stumps as fill, and that's why they had to rebuild it and rebuild it and rebuild it.
There's 140, there's a stump they pave over it, and then the next thing, the stump's there again.
You know, Marlene Drive. Marlene Drive, we took pine logs out of there for days.
Well, that's the same as the Land Ho property. That's all logs under there, because that was filled, and, you know, they don't deteriorate when they're submerged all the time.
Well,
Right, so Bob-
38, there was that hurricane took them all down.
Are you okay with that explanation, Bob?
Yes.
We're gonna be here
So,
all night.
Yeah, I know. Bob,
And you're-
you have any more?
No, I got no more.
Right.
And you're consulting engineers gonna make sure C doesn't happen, bury it under the road.
So if we go through my notes, that I think I circulated to everybody, the 1.04, I crossed that off completely.
What was that one?
I don't know. Language, should we consider adding language referencing wind and solar arrays?
That's why I don't like.
Well,
We have it covered.
we do, yeah.
Yeah,
Anything
so
under
that's
100
why
KW
I
is,
just crossed it off. Yeah, my first one on my list.
Zach,
You must have, yeah, when you sent it out, you must have taken that off and
Oh, really? Oh.
that was one of the ones, Zach did that ordinance.
I thought I was being clever, and I took the one that I wrote my notes on, but actually it's already been edited here.
Yep.
Never mind.
And I think where it said in here, the 100 KW, I don't think that's the accurate number. When the Zach did the proposed amendment, or to put it out to the warrant article, I thought it was 25 or 35 KW, because they were talking about 5 or 6, and I says, well, you don't want to have someone comes in that does one in their home. They need 7 to 8 KW on average to do that, and we didn't want to discourage small business from doing it. Like, I have 17 KW on the roof for the laundromat. So I don't think that 100 KW, and Jess, you might be able to find that out. It was in the last, I'd say 3 or 4 years. How long is it? Well, Zach's been here since Ken McWilliams. So that's a while.
All right, so your question was, I'm sorry.
Is to see what the KW tip threshold is, where it goes to incidental versus something that we would do. Like Dave Hussey came in with a solar farm. Well, that triggers the site plan, but small ones don't. And I think we should be.
So like you talking residential?
Residential or small business. I think it's 25 or 35 KW. And in here somewhere, I read it about 100 KW. I don't know where it is. I just saw it.
Real quick, it's not popping out at me, but it may be somewhere else.
I just saw it a few minutes ago when I was going through here, and it said 100 KW. And I don't think that's the threshold that the planning board needs to get involved. So we should clarify that.
Okay, so under.
Right, I'm sorry, because that ordinance is new.
Relatively new.
Yeah, well, since Ken McWilliams' time.
Hasn't been updated since 2012, so yes.
Okay.
So I would assume that needs to be updated as well.
Yeah, so let's figure that out so we can plug it in and be done with it.
Yeah.
All right, so I had a couple of easy ones, I think, 46.
Page 46?
No, sorry, definition number 46.
12.
Page 12.
The acronyms.
Yeah, again, referencing that FDO is an acronym, same with number 47, just to keep consistent with the way other items are handled in there. FEMA is an acronym.
Isn't it FDOD districts, I don't know.
And then Form 107, so that shows up on page 13 in the right-hand column, deleted item number 107, historic structure. And I don't know why we deleted the definition of a historic structure.
Because it's probably not indicated anywhere in these site plan regs. Because that was one of the notes on Nick's memo, that she deleted terms or words that are not used anywhere in the site plan regs.
Okay.
So that's probably why that.
There are some state regs that refer to them.
Site plan regs. So
But I think we ought to have something in there. I mean, you've got a few buildings, you've got the trestles and everything else that are registered.
Right.
Yeah, the only building downtown is DeRoche's.
DeRoche's, and then you got Gilman Corners.
Yep.
Schoolhouse up there.
But we don't have a historical district per se.
Right.
I've said that before about that, because you're gonna end up losing a lot of your buildings if we don't put something in here, or put something in town.
I mean, that might be something, I agree with that. I think that there ought to be something about a consideration for historic buildings when you're doing a site plan approval. We just don't have it in there right now, so we probably need to find a place to put it, I guess.
Well, how about the idea of you need to have a permit to take it down too?
True, but
if you demo it, yes.
But I think that's one of the things you should be considering when in a site plan. Are there any historic structures here? And you have to give a definition of what a historic structure is, and that has to be made known to everybody that yes, there is a historic structure, and what are you going to do with it? You're going to take it down, or you're going to leave it?
is that something that we should address with the master plan?
Well, no, I
Set
mean,
aside.
we could, Bob, but it's easy enough to have something in our site plan regulations that it's something that you have to consider when you're asking for a site plan.
So I think the point that was trying to be made here by Nick was that we may have the definition in here, but nowhere else in the regulations apparently does it reference historic structure.
Right,
Right.
so what I'm saying is that we ought to put it in. We ought to make that a recommendation and, you know, find a place to
To
put
me,
it in there.
To me, I think it should be added in somewhere in there, so we have something to go by.
But
I mean,
what's gonna,
saying not-
I mean, there's a lot of work to that,
Oh, absolutely.
to say what constitutes a structure.
Well,
Right.
it's all spelled out pretty clearly here to how it's become certified and registered and all that.
Well, registered, you,
Jess, the one that's worked on a lot of historic and historian and stuff, and I'm sure he would be more than happy to come in and help you, was Marty Knelson.
yeah,
Marty,
He's helped set it up in Concord, he's helped
Right.
set it up in the cities, the towns and everything, and he knows a lot about the statute of it and what it should say and everything.
Right, so if you look in the column over here on the side, it still lists the definition and what was included in that. So it wasn't just, you know, deleted off, like it's still kind of indicated over there and what that definition.
That little
Included.
tiny box in the bottom right-hand corner of the big red box means that there was even more. So,
I just hate to see it go away.
Right,
yeah, I mean, my
Right.
gut is that we should probably leave this definition in here, even though we may not have any supporting regulation in the rest of this body right now. Let's leave the definition in.
And that's what I'm saying, let her work on it through the year, get a hold of Marty or whatever you gotta do, and get something put in for next year, next time.
right, some type of wording or something, and
Yeah, 'cause-
find a good section in here.
because what is,
Yeah, because sooner or later, it's gonna happen that they're coming in, they're gonna start mowing down some of these buildings.
what
I
is,
mean, it's only a matter of time.
is listed over here in this description is all voluntary. I mean, it says individually, listed individually, certified in the, by the, Secretary of the Interior, like, they're gonna come here and look at a place. Individually listed on the state inventory, that's individually you've listed it.
But you've gotta, for them, they don't come and look at it. You've gotta send them the pictures, the documentation and everything else.
Oh,
like Marty
they
did
come
in-
and look.
Right.
Come and look, but good. The old Baptist church in, East Alton is now it's under a historic thing. They had to put the wires under the road and everything else. But there's also state legislation on it too. They have grants for historic barns, for repair work and things like that, so that you can apply for help to get your barn restored if it's one of those old historic barns. So-
Right, but the thing about it is someone has had to list it.
But we do that too, Tom, that if the barn's got a good roof and stuff on it, we give them a big tax break on them, in town here.
Right.
For
So,
historical barns and stuff.
We have some work to do. We have some work to do, I think. One is, in the current master plan, it talks about conserving historic structures, and I'm sure in any revisions, it'll still say that. But I think I like Drew's suggestion, leave it in the way it is, and then we'll work on it to
Work on
make
it,
sure
yeah.
it's something that we can use in the future.
I think
That
it
probably-
should not be lost that there's an ellipse at the end that needs to be researched. Those 3 dots.
Yeah,
There's more.
there's more to it, right?
Yes.
You know Dottie Bean and Farmington?
But to Virgil's,
Okay.
So moving on, so we're gonna leave that in for now, and we'll worry about substantiating it at another time, and maybe through the help of that individual in Concord, I guess, and
Yeah.
also
Well,
the,
Marty Knowlson lives here in town.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah, he's our historian that we use for the select board and stuff.
Pretty sharp guy, especially on railroads. He's nailed the
He's
railroad.
got pictures at the beginning of this town.
He's researched all the deeds.
He
Yeah.
knows a lot more than railroads.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I said especially railroads.
He knows where everybody's buried.
He's just learning the burial grounds.
So moving right along here, number 15, page number 15, item number 74, the marina definition. So this basically says that a marina is only defined when it includes every single one of these items.
Change the and to or.
Yeah, it needs an
Change the
and
word
or.
and to or,
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Why does it have to have every one of these items?
because of the way it's worded. It says storing, servicing, fueling, berthing, and securing of boats. That's what defines a marina.
Yeah.
Well,
It
they
needs
could
to
have
be
to have all of them necessarily.
Right, it could be servicing boats, it could be storing the boats, it could be.
Well, Parker Marine doesn't fall into it because they don't sell gas.
Right.
So we can't call them a marina.
So the thought was is to change the word and to or.
Yeah.
And then we probably would have to cross-reference that because I don't know where else that definition shows up in our regulation.
Our table too.
Also,
Yeah.
don't forget, there's one other use in the marina area. That's the adult entertainment.
Thanks for
That's
pointing that
where
out,
we
Tom.
banned it to. Well, since you can't build it there, we said that's where you have to build it.
Yep. Recreational services.
Otherwise, they could have put it anywhere they wanted.
So somebody wants.
All right, so I had, something here, what the hell am I trying to say?
Reference 112.
This is-
No, if you're not selling gas and services.
Definition of regional planning commissions, because it is referenced later. This is when I'm saying we need to insert a definition. Because in section 112,
Page 23.
thank you.
Actually,
I think,
112 is on 9.
I need to check, but I think there are 12 regional areas.
1.12.
1.12.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one point
section
12 on page
1.12, not definition.
23.
Two hands for beginners here. 1.12, okay.
Did I put the decimal in the wrong spot?
Yeah, you did.
Probably. So they make a reference here to regional planning commissions. And now I don't see it. Oh, there it is. The second paragraph, at least 14 days prior to scheduled hearing, the board shall notify the regional planning commissions and all affected municipalities through its planning board. And I was just saying that
We removed that, the people of the town had voted the regional commission down.
then.
No,
Some of the stuff that they voted.
No, that's talking about regional impact, Virgil. That has nothing to do with like signing up for
Lakes Region Planning
the
Commission.
Planning Commission. That has to do when
Shall
an
notify the-
application comes in for regional impact. That's what this section talks about.
Let's say if someone came in and wanted to build a 300,000 square foot mall, that's gonna have an impact. Like, that's a regional impact.
Especially if it's right on the line with the Durham.
Yeah.
But do we
They
have,
put a stadium in.
do we have a regional planning commission?
Yeah, we just got out of it.
Yeah,
Region
a
planning.
few years back, Lakes Region Planning Commission, that is in its existence.
Yeah,
So
we-
we are currently participating.
We are not members of it.
The town people voted us out of it.
Is there a regional body to, have some kind of authority over that kind of thing?
No, look, the Regional Planning Commission covers us whether we're a member or not. All this says is that if you're gonna have regional impact, you have to notify them. That's it. It's a statement. There's nothing to do with
Yeah, I
us
mean, that's not
belonging to.
unnecessary, unreasonable.
Okay. So hence the confusion. That's why I was
The question
thinking,
is-
we might want to add a definition of what the Regional Planning Commission is. Whether we're a participant or not, apparently they still have jurisdiction over us. Is that what I'm hearing?
No.
But
No,
they don't have,
absolutely not.
they don't have jurisdiction, but we're still in their planning district and we're required to report to them if we have a regional impact.
And when have they reported to us for stuff being built over in Guilford and every place else?
This-
Not
this-
once.
This is a
So
state
we
law.
can, If we
It
chose
has
to,
to
we
be an actual impact. In other words, if it's on one of the borders of the town, so that it's not just an impact to Alton, but something that's going to impact Guilford or New Durham.
That's what Virgil just said.
That's what I'm saying, Tom. But not once have we been notified.
I'll throw that out there.
Wait,
Well,
hang
there's
on,
not
go
been
ahead.
anything that has actually been constructed in our area.
All right, so hang on, no, I just want to hear Jessica for
So,
a minute.
yeah, so I was just throwing out there, not that we're going to, but I'm just gonna throw this out there. If we wanted to, we could get help from the commission,
At any time.
but we would have to pay for it in individual, you know.
Unbillable hours
It's
side
not
here.
Like, you know, if we.
If we were a member, they would just
we
do
could
it for
Call
us.
up and say, hey, we need help with X, Y, Z, and they would help us.
Correct.
But,
People didn't
so I'm
like
just
what they were doing.
throwing it out there. Not that I want their help, I'm just saying,
No, but the townspeople didn't
Yep.
like what they were doing with the
Exactly.
transmission line.
I think that's kind of unfair.
So let
That's
me just
rather
get kind
unfair to say that.
so, yeah.
There
let
were
me just get back-
some people who made a big point about it.
All right,
Tom's
so let me get back to the root of what my point was, is that there was no definition for that commission, and should we include a definition of that commission
Yes,
in our list
I
of
don't see why it
definitions?
wouldn't hurt.
yes.
It's just
It's pretty
information,
simple.
and it's just there,
Yeah.
Okay.
you know?
Regional
Because
planning.
there is some point that we could be a member of it again, you never know.
Oh, absolutely. We've been in that a few times.
That's right.
So should I change this to specify Lakes Region Planning Commission?
Yes,
Oh, I
and the
think that's.
address
the
is
only one.
Meredith.
Yeah, I don't-
Because then if you just leave it that way and you go to look for a definition, it's gonna be listed under L for lakes. You'll
No,
never find
no.
plan.
The planning commission, we butt up to New Durham, right?
Yeah.
And we also touch Stratford down at the point of the town.
But
Yeah.
that's not our base.
No, but they're an adjoining, if we're gonna have regional impact, let's say, you might have to notify more than one regional planning commission. So just
Yeah.
leave it general.
That's why it's plural.
Right, so we don't want to specify Lakes Region, we want to keep it as it was set up with regional commissions, and I think the S was in,
Yeah, so I'm gonna put it under R as Regional Planning Commission.
I don't want to open Pandora's box, but is there a trigger to that?
Well,
I'm sorry. What triggers us?
Let's not discuss
notifying-
that tonight. I don't think that's necessary, Mr. Chairman, to go into that.
You don't want to say five lot subdivision here.
I guess that we're getting into regulations that I think are beyond these regulations at that point.
Yeah, but that's really,
That's why.
I guess it's subjective.
yeah, exactly, and that's probably not a good thing.
We've been notified with any of their projects.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'm not sure a
regional,
tit for tat approach is the right approach, though. I
It is.
still think we have to have something in here to cover.
You're just.
all right,
protect
Regional
us.
Planning Commission then, that will be the definition.
Yeah, that's because if they changed their name, it would still,
And it depends on what region you're gonna be notifying,
I think that's probably a wise, yeah.
pointed out. Okay,
The 112 we already covered, and then we jump into, so now we're into the body of this thing, 117 B2, which is on page 27. That was just simply the application was misspelled, that's all. That was an easy one.
where are we?
Wow.
Whereabouts is that?
1.17 B2.
Yeah, it's application. Put
Oh,
a-
okay.
Put a C
Ask
in
me
it.
how I know.
Did we skip over 112 dash?
Yeah, because we'd already covered
Oh,
112.
sorry.
We got that one sorted out.
I can't listen and write at the same time.
So the next one I had was 1.18 D2 and 3. And this has to do with off-site improvement fees. And it was just simply a grammatical thing.
It needs that and that.
Yeah.
Because if you read it any other way, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So between, in front of two.
At one time, we did have
Three.
Three.
fees.
So that which is necessary.
Yeah.
Mm. That. And that.
Otherwise, it reads, the amount of any such exaction shall be that which is necessary, or which is necessary. It doesn't make sense that way.
Okay. Done.
Okay, were we still on 117? 1.17?
118.
We just screwed right by that. We did 118.
Okay. Yeah, because, what, are we not gonna talk about 1.17 further?
Just correcting the spelling was my only note, but did you have something else on there?
Well, I just see fees here and things like this, and we don't have any impact fees or anything like that now, and I don't wanna see them construed that we do, because required project construction agreement and escrow have been established, and I'm not sure if that's for well, it says a construction observation there.
So where did you see fees? I'm sorry.
Let's go right down and through it again so I can see it. I think
4, all application fees have been paid.
that's not unreasonable. I think I misspoke, so I'll back out of that. Sorry about that.
118.
All right, so 118 was just that grammatical correction, that this is at the top of page 28, D2 and 3, and just adding the word that in front of the word which for each one of those items.
Yeah.
So the next one I had was on page 29, 1.20C, and I noted, should changes in any originally approved phasing be added to the list of major changes?
I think I read that and I agree with you, Drew. I think that's important.
Can they be added to the original NOD, notice of decision? In other words, if a major change is made, whether it's a bridge or it's a whatever, or a wall in the case of another situation I know of, when a change is made, it should be noticed someplace in the original decision that a change had been made.
Right, but I think what this says is what is a major change, and Drew wants to include any changes in phasing that was originally in the application, that's all. And how it gets notified and so forth, that's another matter, but all this is what is a major change.
Well, if it's in the phasing, wouldn't that be between the applicant and the town engineer?
Well, when we do a site plan approval, there many times it says, well, I'm going to be, it's a major job. They're going to do things in certain phases. And if they change that, then this says that that's a major change and you need to go down and resubmit a final amended site plan application, which is the last sentence down there on the.
They're going to build 3 buildings and 3 detention basins, and then we said, they say they're going to build the detention basins first and then start the buildings, and then all of a sudden they're going to say, nah, I'm going to build the buildings first and then the detention basins. Well, that to me is a major change.
Yeah.
But it should be if they're changing any print that was approved by this board. If you approve a print and somebody comes in and tears part of that print out and changes the structures in there or the land or the road, the parking design or anything, should have to be brought back in front of this board.
Agreed.
And it's not, we don't hold people responsible for that.
We have had changes from like culverts and things like that it was agreed to by the town engineer.
Yeah,
Those changes.
But it should have to come back in front of this board before it goes to a town engineer.
Yeah, that's not what.
Is our feet on the ground, and in theory, he's going to be the one who says, "Well, time out. We
I'm
need to
saying
go back."
projects are done. Then they go back in and revamp them. should have to come back in front of us, not through the office downstairs.
But what's gonna trigger that? I think that's an important thing.
So,
Again, the.
And I think that that's when it comes to so a change occurs, the town engineer looks at it and says, okay, that's just a minor change, that doesn't need to be, that can just be noted on a report.
And he has the latitude to do that.
Right, and that's a major change, so now you need to come in and you need to amend your site plan.
Well,
This board should be notified.
well, when he makes-
We should be the ones decide whether it's gotta come back in for a site plan or not, because this
Well-
board,
Well, they.
Because the engineer will do that.
That would.
But the engineer will do that.
but it don't.
Well, okay, we can't change what went on in the past, we're trying to.
But we're going back and fix it.
I'm trying to work forward and do the right thing, follow the regulations, make sure everyone's, doing the right thing, so I'm
That's what I
trying.
asked, just follow.
Now that I'm planner, to make sure that regulations are followed. I can't change what happened before.
so what,
It happened on this watch.
Well,
Go ahead.
all right, so this says here that any changes to utilities, roads, structures, or other public improvements shall be reviewed by the town engineer to determine if they are minor or major. And what you're saying is that
By your ordinance.
any change at all should come before this board to determine whether it's minor or major?
By your ordinances. The board has to decide whether a site plan review is needed or not, is this board, by the ordinances of this town.
The initial site plan review. I don't know if it's
You can't change
ongoing.
it. If we sign a site plan review,
That's it.
and you go in and you change it, you have to come back in front of this board before you can change what we approve.
Major
can't just-
ones, right? Not minor.
This board is the one that decides major or minor.
Well, Virgil, I think the town engineer has latitude in there to do some things. That, I know places where they were drawn with full catch basins.
That goes on to your as-built.
But that's
But that's
changed.
Yeah, but not.
And previous reviewing engineers have made those decisions to go to head walls versus catch basins, and that's all well and good.
And we've run into it too, where, you end up having to move a handicap parking space over 4 spots.
That's right,
because
and
of grades.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, somebody goes in and moves 25 parking spots over, opens something up, repaves, changes everything around, changes the islands, changes.
Now, you're talking about a major change
Right.
there, and that definitely should come to this
And
board.
that the town engineer is supposed to be forcing that applicant to bring.
And I don't think we've ever had a town engineer that would approve something like that he described on their own.
Significant change.
Right, that's really significant. I mean, that's, once you're talking lot coverage at that point and things like that. And when the town engineer does his inspection or whatever and finds something like that, he's gonna let her know in his report. That's gonna happen. So, and you're gonna say, oh, you're gonna call the person and you gotta go in and fix this.
I want to reinforce what Scott just said, because I know at one point, we gave the building inspector and the town engineer permission to make small changes, the minors.
Right. Yeah.
Because otherwise they were coming back and getting on the agenda for things that were just, ridiculous. So for something that is simple, it was, the town engineer would come back and discuss it with the building inspector and the planner, and they would decide amongst themselves, well, this doesn't need to go back to the board. So, I mean, if it's a small thing, it shouldn't have to come back. If it's a big thing, yeah, it should.
Right. Absolutely.
So in this section kind of B defines what, or illustrates what a minor change is. C illustrates what a major change is. And that's why I felt that.
And those are just snapshots because you can't cover it all.
You can't capture it all.
Right.
But changing the phasing of a project to me could be considered a major. And it may not be, but.
Well, the phasing's all approved in the plan, and it's written on the plan where the phase lines are.
Right. So that's why my feeling was that phasing should be added to the major changes list of illustrations. And I don't know how you all feel.
I'll go along with that.
That makes sense. I agree.
So, is that general consensus here around the table, or?
Yeah. I mean, the town, I don't want to take away some latitude the town engineer has,
Yeah, and that's,
because that's just going to clutter up the works here.
I agree. We'll end up having lots of late nights here.
Right.
Can I just go back to something that Virgil had mentioned?
Yep.
About site plans and that things have been changed on my watch. So I don't quite know what that means. And Virgil, if you have an issue with how I've been running things in the office, can you please bring that up to the Board of Selectmen? Because this is not the venue to talk about things that I have not.
And I apologize for that.
In the office. So if there's something that I'm not doing right, I would like to know.
When I said watch, that's since I've been here on the board. That was.
Just wanted to clarify that, because it sounded as if you meant
Oh,
me.
if I did, I apologize.
All right, so the next item that I had was, on the next page, 30, 1.22B4. This has a 90 days to complete site items after a conditional C of O. And I give the example of, you know, you get your C of O in November, and it may take until May to get that wear coat of paving on, or the, you know, final landscaping done. And that there should be a little bit of flexibility.
Yes, something. I thought they had 2 years and then 5 years, once they became vested.
Once you're vested, there is no clock.
Do I understand that right? Jess, when we approve something, they have the 2 years or a year
To do substantial, something to start it. Let's say, you have a subdivision. And if you go there and just knock down the trees for the road, that does not mean substantial.
Right.
Once you grub it out, you get some base gravel in there, and you've really done something to make it happen. You've vested it. Now you're vested. You've started the project. So that 2 year clock, that has to be done within the 2 years. Would we agree with that?
Right.
Right.
But that's something, Scott, that's something we specify when we do the approval of what is.
Right, absolutely do. Right.
But this is not starting the job or getting yourself going in the job. This is the end of the job.
Yeah, well, vested shouldn't be part of that at the end of the job, because when you're at the end of the job, you're vested.
But
Well, this doesn't have anything to do with vested, does it?
no, this has to do with, as I tell my guys, finishing, not just finishing because it's finished, except for a couple things. No, completely done with the job. They're saying that you have only 90 days to do it. And I'm saying that if you go in and you get your conditional C of O or your substantial completion in November, you may not be able to get those last few items done, you know, that.
Like if you pave it the last gun, you're not gonna have your shoulders stabilized and all that stuff with grass growing.
Right. So I'm just thinking that, to me, 90 days was in certain situations, it's not enough, and that there should be some latitude by the code official to, you know, all right, you've got 120 days to get it.
That probably would work. Actually, the engineer would probably have a little bit more say over the code official on that type of note.
Yeah, yep. So I just was thinking there's some wording in here where it says shall be accomplished within 90 days by providing security in the amount to cover blah, blah, blah. Then, you know, can we do 90 days or as deemed reasonable by,
Yes.
you know?
And we had, will was in there, now we want shall, is that what we're saying? Yeah, shall be accomplished within 90 days. What's the difference between shall and will?
Shall is required.
Shall is this is what you have.
Yeah, and when you say you will do it, you'll do it.
Oh, you're not obliged.
But
yeah,
I
Right.
think shall is a legal term.
But the real change that Drew was suggesting is that putting.
Is the 90-day clock.
Yeah, you shall do it in the 90 days, but it also can get relief from that if for extenuating circumstances, you know?
Yes.
Or we can say, or weather permitting?
Or you
No,
come up
I
with the
mean,
money to cover
You
it.
want to leave it up to the discretion of the, of the,
Or they come up with the security.
The engineer.
yeah.
Way this is framed, so they're saying that you have to come up with the surety of some kind, and you have to complete it in 90 days. Now, technically speaking, it's 92 days, you haven't completed it, you have lost that surety. So that's why I'm saying we need to give them a break here, you know, because sometimes things just don't go well.
Well, if November 30th, you've got something done, and then you have snow till on the ground till April, things aren't gonna happen till May.
So I'm just thinking that we add, be accomplished within 90 days or as deemed reasonable, or a reasonable time period is deemed so by somebody.
Yeah, but don't they come in front of us and ask for extensions? Because we've had that 2 or 3 times where people come in and
Yeah,
ask
you
for
know,
extensions.
that's a
because
great
of the-
point. That's a
because of
great
the
point.
Yeah, they
paving
could
or this
ask
or that.
for an extension, yeah.
I think, yeah, I actually like that answer better than mine because that doesn't put the burden on any one individual. It brings it back here to the
Back to
board.
the tape, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but
We can dispose of that.
isn't this just for plants and bushes? So, I mean,
Well, it could be.
your plan says, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, this is all I'm gonna do. But I built all these houses, I paved the road, I got all this money into it, and I got all these houses all finished, and I wanna sell them, but I can't because I haven't put this plant in. And that's what this is about, I think.
Well, it's
Is a conditional approval, so that's.
It's a final approval. So you build your development, you get your binder code in, and then when you can put the wear coat down. I mean, what it's trying to do is protect the town from you saying, yeah.
I would like to see the wear course down at the end of all development on the property, because guilty as charged, I've run an excavator up the street.
Oh, yeah.
It's saying you gotta do the whole print.
Right. So, and I think what it's doing is it's giving relief to you, so saying you can get your occupancy permit without planting the bushes.
I mean, look at Ulex, it ain't by our print.
Yeah, I don't want to get into any specific
You know what
projects
I
here.
mean?
We're trying to
Yeah, but-
develop an overall regulation, but.
Then we gotta devise a way whether John or somebody takes the print and goes down and looks at it somehow, you know what I mean?
This
Without
is the thing, this is the tool that John needs to give you an occupancy permit without planting that bush. If he didn't have this, you know, what is it, temporary or conditional,
I don't-
conditional
I
occupancy
don't think
permit.
building permit COs are gonna get hung up on this situation. This kind of rides on its own. If you're doing a roadway and things like this, John's gonna issue permit, COs.
Let me ask you this, Justin. How do you
Certificate
read-
of occupancy permit,
How do you read this paragraph? Is
that's,
this for the
that
road?
has nothing to do with a road.
No, that doesn't.
I would have to really take some time. I don't wanna,
Yeah,
given, I don't wanna, I really need to be able to like read.
let's work on this. I think this is,
Sometimes that's what gets you hung up.
Yeah, understandable,
But
Yeah.
I'll stick my neck out here because
understand.
it does say that a certificate of occupancy is what the whole start of this whole thing is. But it says no site shall be occupied or used until a conditional or permanent C of O is issued by the code official, John. So there are conditions to satisfy the conditional C of O that would get you at least getting people moved in and living in these houses. But they're saying before you get the final
You
CO,
gotta do it.
you gotta do the final work, so.
yeah, well, yeah, and that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
So what brings you back to your original thing and saying, okay, well, it says you have 90 days to do it. So here's your conditional, you can move it, but you only have 90 days to get your final one. And that 90 days is the thing that's too short.
Right, this is why a lot of towns and cities that I work in don't do conditional C of Os, because what are they gonna do, evict the people?
They'll never
I mean,
work
come
out.
on.
Yeah, really.
So-
Yeah, that's not,
Look at the evil side of it.
So, all right, but I think the fact that they can come back for extensions, I think that makes the most sense, so.
yeah, that way it can be dealt with on a per case basis.
Checking that off.
We're just crossing that off, my
Okay.
comments are getting crossed right off.
All right.
Can I just add one more comment before we
Yeah.
leave it? Well, I mean, it could be years,
Yeah.
not just, it couldn't, not just be a season, because you take the one that's gotta have, fully built before they get the finished, thing.
Yeah. I think, and maybe I'm overly loosely interpreting this, but when I see it as a C of O for a dwelling unit, and I'm thinking that you say it's gonna have, a paved driveway, and we'll just use pavement as a good example. But you can't get that driveway in
Until spring.
this year until spring. So they're saying, all right, you can temporarily occupy it, but you told me you're gonna put a driveway in, you're gonna put a driveway in. So we're holding your feet to the fire that driveway is gonna get installed,
Yeah.
paved.
On roadwork stuff, most people that build a road ultimately petition the town to say, here. And that's the safety valve for the town. Okay, is this stuff all done? And, okay, yes, it is. We'll take the road. Give us a deed. Oh, no, we won't. You gotta take care of this, and this. So the town is protected, I feel,
Unless COVID comes in.
unless COVID comes in.
All right, so the next one I had on my list was 1.31, which is page 34, and it was actually deleted. And it's the severability clause. So that's a clause that says, if something in these regulations is deemed to be not legal, it doesn't mean the rest of it is garbage. And that goes into every contract that I work on. It's
Mortgages, it's all there. We forgot something, you agreed to sign it.
town protection, and I'm not sure why that got deleted, but I think that needs to stay in there.
I agree.
What's that?
I agree.
All right, sorry, Bill,
What deletion are you on?
so this is, page 34, in the right-hand column, 1.31.
Yeah.
Second from the, second one up.
I mean, it's worded properly,
Yeah,
you
yeah, it is.
But has it already been deleted, or is this?
That's a
It's
suggestion
proposed
to
to
be.
be-
That's suggested, okay.
I mean, I would agree to leave it in there. I don't know the reasoning behind why that was gonna be taken out.
That seems pretty important.
I agree.
That really protects everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah,
We're gonna leave it in.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'd agree with that.
Yep.
All right, and then 5.07. Which is,
Page 57.
yeah, page 57. Actually, it was, page 58, sorry, B, on the number of spaces. So B, 1, and then O, so it's.
He's on the next page.
58?
Yeah, 58, sorry.
58, yeah.
You're on
I
B,
should have put page numbers.
number of spaces.
So it looks like the very last one space per 50 gross feet, 1 space per 5 employees.
A 4-pack someplace else?
I never understood this part of it anyways, because
Yeah, I agree to put per in.
well, it should be a set rate if you got even
I'd say
private club,
per
one
instead of
space.
slash.
Square feet. I mean, 200 square
Correct.
feet, you're allowed, what, 40 people, 30 people?
Yeah.
Isn't there a chart that the state?
I would think we could condense that, like 300 square feet per space. That seems like it works. Why don't we just make it simple and just 300 square feet?
Because in the IBC and there's occupancy loads for different usages, so you gotta go by the.
Yeah, well, apartments, 2 spaces per, so that,
You got a parlor and convention center, 1 space per 6 seats.
So I think
That don't make sense.
no.
Correct to
Don't make the old station wagons where you can put 9, 10 people in.
Well, there are state recommendations we ought to check there.
Yeah, so I had one space per 2 employees as opposed to 1 space per 5 employees. So that seems like a little radical to me. But on all of these where it's the slash, I don't know if we should be including the word per or whether it's regularly understood that that is per.
But if you look at Marina, 1 space per wet or dry storage unit, plus 1 space per employee for Marina.
Got to be some reasoning behind that.
Well, you can't take
I
a
mean,
boat out unless you come by
But it's just,
car.
none of it makes sense.
Really, especially you got 300 boats.
Yeah, none of it makes sense, because you got a restaurant, 1 space per 3 seats, but yet if you're gonna put in a convention center, it's 1 space per 6 people. 6 spaces. I mean,
So
it's,
should I look at the state's chart?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, the medical center is 1 space per 100 square feet. That's a lot of spaces.
and look at it that way.
Yeah.
They're all the way out to McDonald's.
At Huggins?
Yeah, the other one.
The other,
Urgent care.
yeah, urgent care, yeah.
It's packed.
Well, that's just because of COVID.
Well, it is now, yeah.
I
A little
know.
busy right now.
Yeah,
That place, sometimes you just can't find a parking space there.
really?
Yeah,
Oh.
miserable.
So to comment about what you said, Drew, it's kind of sporadic throughout this A through, S, that some of them just say slash
And some
and a
say
number,
per.
and some say per, so I could just make that universal so that they all
Yeah,
state
I think
per.
they all should be per.
Perfect.
I'm willing to bet our library is, I know the museum is, 1 space per 200 square feet.
Only one space.
Violation.
Yeah, but look at a motel.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that,
2 additional units plus 1 space per unit
Yeah.
and 1 space per 5 employees.
So I'll
So-
pull up that chart.
These are
get
confusing.
that,
Yeah.
all right.
And update that stuff.
So the 1.0, the very last reference, drive-in restaurant, we actually do not have a definition for a drive-in restaurant. We have restaurant and restaurant fast food.
I would suggest after this COVID year, we definitely include, fast food, slash drive-in.
Yeah, we just, but what Drew said,
Well, we
is
do
don't
have
have a,
drive-in.
we don't have-
Everybody's driving, we have Pop's Clamshell.
You have the drive-in coffee shop right there, that serves food. Yep.
Well, basically McDonald's has turned it into a drive-in.
Drive-in, yeah.
So should we add a definition for a drive-in restaurant, or should we lump it in with restaurant fast food?
restaurant fast food.
I would just
Yeah,
slash
probably
drive-in.
put them all together.
Okay. Which means that over here, where we reference drive-in restaurant, we should reference it as restaurant slash
1 space per 50 square feet, we're talking
restaurant
about that.
fast food.
That's
So
Slash
drive-in restaurant slash fast food restaurant?
Yeah, I
But
would
he just said, let's leave that.
change it so that it matches our definitions, because our
Okay,
definitions,
so restaurant, comma, fast food.
yes.
Slash,
Yeah.
I prefer, maybe you ought to change it to and.
Say that again?
I said, you want to change slashes because you're saying and mean and per, but now you want to put slashes saying and mean and.
Yeah, no, I misspoke, so we're gonna go I think we need to hear, on this page, the bottom of this page,
Right.
we're gonna change that wording, drive-in restaurant, and it's gonna be rephrased to be restaurant, comma, fast food, or drive-in.
All 1 space per 3 seats.
And then when we go back to the definitions page, under restaurant, comma, fast food, we're gonna add or drive-in, or and drive-in, or something along those lines. Jessica will make perfect sense of my mumbling.
But Drew, for example, the example that'll change things is like Aroma Joe's. you can't go in. You have to drive through. So
Right.
you really don't need parking spaces there, except for the employees.
They have walk-ups window though.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
have
they do
walk-ups,
have
they have
walk-up windows.
tables out there in the summer.
And they're only required one space per 50 square feet, and I don't know if that entire building adds up to.
It might be 300, yeah.
You're talking about Pops?
No,
Roma Joe.
Oh,
So you said
Pops
you're
too.
gonna change odors to say restaurant and drive-in restaurant? Does that mean you're omitting E? I mean, because the spaces are two different qualities.
So we have we have a definition already for restaurant in the front of this book.
Right.
We have a definition for restaurant, fast food in the front of this book. What we don't have is a definition for drive-in restaurant. So I think that this,
Well, O is drive-in restaurant.
Yeah, but that's not,
yeah, but under the definitions in the front of the book,
oh, in the front.
you don't
okay.
know what it is.
It doesn't exist there.
So that's why I think we should have restaurant, fast food, or drive-in. And then we'll make that definition, restaurant, fast food, or drive-in. We'll have it a definition.
sounds good to me.
Yep.
I'm still a tad, so are you gonna get rid of O and move it up and add it to E?
No, because the requirements for E, a restaurant, are different than those for a fast food or a drive-in
Because
restaurant.
there's no seats at a drive-in,
Right.
other than your car. Or a picnic table, or. Yeah,
That make sense?
I guess.
we're just dealing with definitions here.
Yeah.
That's all this is, a definition class.
Well, it seems to me the right way to do it is go back to the beginning of the book and put in a definition for drive-in restaurant.
That's what he's saying to do.
That's what we're doing.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about changing this, the way this is written.
No,
Only the part, just so that it aligns with.
The word-
Because we know that a drive-in restaurant is basically the same as a fast food, basically one and the same.
He's gonna slash, it's gonna say.
But we don't have fast food here in any of this stuff.
It's gonna say restaurant, fast
Well,
food.
We don't have fast food here, we have
Actually,
restaurant and drive-in.
Actually,
Right.
fast food and drive-in aren't necessarily the same thing. I
So
mean-
if we have fast food in the front of the book,
I mean, McDonald's was always fast food, but it didn't always have a drive-through.
right.
So, I mean, that technically.
Well, I think
mean, we all know what
a drive-through should not be confused with a drive-in.
Right.
A drive-in, the girls come out with skates and they put the thing on your window, that's a drive-in, old-time drive-in.
Well, those-
I know.
We don't even need to do it because we don't have that anymore.
No,
What's the
but
length of the skirt?
Sonic does.
Everybody kept it built until they come in front of us and revamped it.
Yeah.
Remember
Well,
correctly?
Sonic that's strictly a drive-in,
Yeah.
if you go to a Sonic.
Is there a Sonic in New Hampshire?
That's the only one I know.
Yeah, there is.
Where?
There's Nashua,
Sonic?
That's not New
Yeah.
Hampshire?
Route one in Saugus.
That's Massachusetts.
Okay, so.
all right.
Sorry.
So,
Down further.
all right, so the next one I had was 5.21, which is at the top of page 70. Should we have any language in here that empowers the board or the town engineer to approve the source of imported fill, such as fill from another community or state, which could contain contamination?
Hey.
I know. When you see
Can of
all the junk
worms.
in Massachusetts taking it to Maine, we're closer.
Right, there also, a lot of it goes up there and gets burnt. But
Do other towns do this?
you're gonna
Do
take,
other towns like certify?
well, wait a minute.
That come in from out of state?
They,
or-
all usually what they.
Out of state is supposed to be certified before it can come over the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we don't have pits in Alton anymore. So it's gonna come from outside.
Yep.
What are you gonna
We
do?
have two
Test
licensed
every
pits.
septic system, every foundation backfill?
So maybe
We don't have pits here anymore.
The septic sand.
Septic sand's coming out of Ospey?
I know, we don't have a pit for septic sand, but we got a pit for, we got pits for everything else.
Where? Where's the legal pit?
Me and,
Yeah, but yours is a self-contained pit for you.
right, yeah, I'm not a retail operation.
Right, and I'm saying a retail operation, you're going to Ospey or Pikes or.
What is Jedry?
Transfer yard.
The transfer yard.
Yeah, he brings his in from Ossipee.
Okay.
The Exodus is going out of Ossipee. All the dirt goes out of Ossipee.
This could be as simple as a letter of certification from the source saying this does not contain contaminants.
Yeah, but to me, you're just adding more money onto already paying out the yin yang for the fill to be hauled from Ospey down. It's quadruple the load
There's
now.
no money involved.
To get a certification?
For the source to say it is clean.
It came out of virgin soil or whatever the case may be.
Isn't that similar to like to have to produce like a MSDS sheet or whatever they call it now, not MSDS?
But
Well, I'll go with MSDS because that's what I know it is.
You get charged for it.
Isn't that something similar
yes.
to that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
No, absolutely
There's
not.
nothing for nothing in life. When that comes out of that pit, and that truck driver has to get out of that truck to go pick it up and bring it down, the homeowner's gonna get charged for it.
Yeah, but I think the point is that we don't want contaminated soil being brought into town and causing a groundwater problem.
fill materials shall be free of chemical contaminants. Okay, I'll give you that one. Organic materials such as stumps, branches.
So
You got a branch in the fill?
when they clean the, ditches on the road and dump it in people's yards.
Yeah. Add glass to that.
It's got everything in it, salt, glass,
Bud Light cans.
it's got everything in it. They dump it for filling people's yards. Are we gonna say, no, you can't do that neither?
So,
May I make a comment?
Sure.
yeah,
Where do you think probably 75% of your bark mulch comes from?
Yep.
Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut,
Yep.
Rhode Island,
that is not fill material.
that,
It's not fill material. That, we're talking about fill material, so.
when they take it out the following year,
If you go,
they take it and dump it at your dump,
you go up, and look,
landfill up here.
go up and look on 28. They dump wood chips on that lot, 30 feet deep.
Yeah, right across from Richie Lane's
Yes,
house.
that's 20, 30 feet deep of wood chips.
That's when Paul Pearson owned it.
Mhm.
And those all have dyes in them. Some are chemical and some
Yeah.
are natural.
Yes.
Well,
The-
except for right here, I don't think you're supposed to be using that as fill according to
Right.
an old regulation.
I think the tipping point is fill.
Yeah. But so anyway, it's suggestion, if the board doesn't agree, that's fine.
And I don't think you're gonna stop the occasional person from taking a load of bark mulch and putting it down and putting some dirt over it. That's just gonna happen whether there's a rule or not. But you're talking about massive fill loads.
One other thing, I don't know, that's a problem, but I don't know if we can do anything about it, is bringing in invasive species, like bittersweet and all this other stuff that is a mess. I'm not suggesting we put it in here necessarily, but it's a problem. I just don't know how you would, regulate
I had
it.
a guy, I had a guy that, he had bamboo all in his yard. He says, rake this up and take this. I says, I'm not taking this anyway but this lot. I'll rake it down and try to bury it, but it's still gonna come up.
Then you had it in the clogs of your machine and you took it home.
Yeah, exactly.
We're still trying to get rid of it. We're still spraying it.
Yeah, it's awful stuff.
It's evil.
Yeah.
But it's working, what we're using to get rid of it.
You brought it to my house.
Well,
I did.
I got it
Sorry.
right here.
From my old house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from School Street.
Yeah,
Lot of fill.
okay.
I got it, I
Got
got
it
a
there?
septic system.
And the last fill was from ditching and stuff, because they just did the road, and I didn't know that they had seeded it. And it just popped up because I didn't spray it last year. I'll pop that back up.
Did it really?
Right. So, so on this, you guys don't feel this is worth pursuing or?
Well, I think just a point, we have a rule, it's in there right now that says you can't bring in contaminated soil. So if it becomes a problem and there's a groundwater problem and somebody did bring it in, they violated this, that's a problem for them, so.
Yeah,
They'll shrug their shoulders and say,
well, I can't
didn't know.
imagine, I can't imagine a homeowner or construction person bringing in contaminated fill and intentionally dump it, and bury it.
They may
that
not
is-
know it.
Oh, they're out there.
Yeah. When it involves the almighty dollar, they're out there.
It's not gonna be someone from here, someone from out of state.
I made a living working on hazardous waste sites for 20 years. And let me tell you, there are plenty of people who did it all over the country. So that's what, I mean, they're not pure, no question.
All right, so that's the end of my list on this stuff, guys. Is there, anybody have anything else that they caught their eyes and?
No, I thought you did a good job, Drew. You know, this is, you know, that's one of the reasons, I think it was when you first came on, we said, you're the guy that ought to review this thing.
Well.
And then there was nice random one, Bob.
All right, so it's, what is it, 20 minutes of 8, and the construction observation guidelines, again, this is redlined, as we call it, stuff that's red and crossed out means it's intended to be deleted, stuff that's red and not crossed out is added.
Green and blue.
Green and blue?
You talking about?
Oh, yeah, then you got green, and I have no idea what that means. I think that was explained to us, though, when it was sent to us.
Yeah, there might have been an
Did you
email
have to-
attached to that.
Green with red writing is really hard to read.
Yeah, it is.
Kind of like yellow.
Yeah, at least you can read that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was curious that it was proposed that we delete the definition of base pavement, but we kept the definition of wear course pavement.
Why would we get rid of base?
I don't know.
Because that's under every road.
It seemed to me that base course pavement ought to stay in there.
Absolutely.
So keep that. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Absolutely.
What page do you want?
I'm sorry.
I see the wear course, but.
Or,
I'm just catching up on doing this.
that's all right.
You got your better word than that.
So that's up near the top of the page, one of the red crossed out items, the base pavement. The definition of catch basin.
Yeah, they're more than
there's-
4 footers.
Yeah, limiting a catch basin to only 4 feet, is that all we allow in this town, or?
Just
We,
get rid of,
no, I think the rule is either most people are 2-foot sump. I think we have a 3-foot sump.
No, this is the diameter. I mean,
4 foot usually is minimum.
yeah, but it just defines a catch basin as a 4-foot diameter precast. So would it be a minimum circular 4-foot diameter precast concrete structure?
Yeah, because the good, unless there's only one thing in and out, if it goes more than one pipe in and out, it goes to 5.
Yeah.
why don't you just get rid of the number, just say catch basin?
Is a circular precast concrete structure,
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
and we'll let it be defined size-wise?
I don't think we should define it because the engineering's gonna define it.
Yeah.
So is that defined in like the highway regs?
Yeah,
So I know a lot of times when we update things in the regulations, we're trying not to be very specific, because then if it changes in that.
and they have to keep up.
And you don't catch it over here, then it just becomes, it becomes an issue. So taking that out, if it's defined somewhere where it sort of
Well,
needs to be.
check Kenny's road regs. I mean, I don't have them in front of me.
So,
Why wouldn't we put, this is
I think-
construction observation, your roads, your pavement, your catch basins, and everything. why wouldn't the road regs and everything be included in this? So when somebody comes in, you say,
That's not,
here's your packet, that's got all the rules, the hard road travel, the town road ordinances,
Yeah.
and everything in one
That-
packet.
I don't have a problem.
It goes right with their packet and say, here you go.
That makes a lot of sense.
And when we had that roads workshop and we talked about updating the subdivision regulations, we did talk about taking that road standard section out of that highway policy and kind of putting that in with the subdivision regulations.
I'm just saying that,
So
that's
part of,
fine if it,
so that could be, you know, like that could just become part of, you know.
well, it should be that when people come in to get an application, they should be able to not look in 4 different areas for regulations. It should be in one book to do your road, to do your subdivision, do everything, say, here's your
Let me
book.
make a
Whether we
suggestion.
charge them the $5 for it or $10 for it, but here's your book and here's all the ordinances for development, for the roads, for the, you know, what you have to do, what the applications are.
put it online.
Hey, Drew?
Yes.
Drew, I would recommend that you don't make the highway document part of this, this regulation, the construction observation. Make it a reference, because if it changes, if the highway document changes, then now you've got 2 different documents floating around. So,
And then you have to vote.
so what I would say is, yes, what Virgil is saying, when somebody comes in, give them all the information, but don't tie the 2 things together in the same document, because it'll be out of date if something changes.
Well, what happens if we change it?
Well, the Board of Selectmen are the one that authorized the changes to the highway regs.
Right.
I mean, the highway agent does not decide on those himself or herself. It's the selectmen make it.
And it's here with the.
Yeah, and so, you know, I hear what you're saying, Russ, and I don't disagree with it, but I think it's also, the right hand should know what the left hand is doing all the time.
No,
And,
I totally agree. All I'm saying is just don't incorporate them into the other document. Just reference them and give it to the guy when he comes in, the latest copy.
Part of the problem is we use hard road travel. We use state regs. We use the town ordinances. They should be combined, so people ain't going nuts trying to do stuff. They should be combined and easier to use.
Yeah, well, but I don't disagree with that at all. But I'm just saying is that whatever the current version is, just give them the current version of the highway, how you build stuff. That's the most important document. The road to travel and all that, that's a philosophical document, if you will.
But it ain't philosophical because the town uses it.
Yes.
So it doesn't make it philosophical. We need to take what the town is and give it to the applicants, so the applicants can do what they need to do without being turned down at the meetings and stuff. And that way, everything's in one place to make it easier for people.
What we're talking about here is a reference for what a catch basin is. That's all we're talking about right here. And all I'm saying, for this particular thing that we're talking about, just make sure that the applicants have the right one when they come in for how to construct a catch basin. And we don't have to tell them it's 4 feet in this particular thing. Just say catch basins as defined in the current highway construction manual.
So everything here that's crossed out, you're getting rid of it, is that?
That's the plan.
That's my instinct. So why do you need to get rid of a curb stop? It's a simple, it is something. It's something. Why does it need to go? There's other things.
Yeah, there's an awful lot in here.
Page you on, Raj.
I'm still on the same pages that we were, that with
Curb
over
stop,
on
page
4,
5.
with base pavement, you got, you know, bituminous curve, you got, Cape Cod curve, it explains what they are.
So is that not explained in the regulations? Is that why those are getting deleted? Are they not?
That could
Did you
be.
not find that in here, and maybe that's why they're deleted, just like we did with the other regs? You know, maybe they're not listed.
I'm not certain, I'm just looking at these things, I'm saying, I don't see why you couldn't
Well,
leave
curb
that.
stop would be important, wouldn't it?
I would think
We
so.
have one, if we're putting them in by town, for the town water system.
Right.
You'd want them in this.
But is curb stop talked about in the regulations? That
In
was,
the
that
observation
was my point.
guidelines, it may not
Maybe
be
that
referenced
doesn't
in here.
state it anywhere, and that's why it's getting deleted.
Yeah, because what she got, the design here was just to have definitions of what's in the ordinance.
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
so
like curb stop, check with water department or something. So if somebody's in town working, they know that there's gonna be a curb stop there, there's water, and they have to check with the water department for their regs. You know what I mean?
On page 5, I
We
see,
run into a problem with the water department of, the curb stops have been put in driveways down and next to the houses and the middle of driveways. We've been slowly getting them back up into the right of ways, getting them out of, because when they leak or something, then we have to tear out the driveway instead of having them up where they're supposed to be. So I'd like to see some type of mention of the curb stops for people that if they're working in town, they know, oh, there's gonna be a curb stop, or check with water department, or.
So that would be under the water department regulations as to where that curb stop can go.
Yep. They're slowly getting it up on GIS, so you'll be able to look at it right on your phone and be able to pinpoint it. So.
one thing here on page 5, it says crushed gravel 3043. That's changing because it's very, very difficult for anybody to create and make 3043. I think 3044 is the new one, and I'm not going to tell you that for certainty right here, but that's a ledge product. It's all dust and crushed stone, and that's approved standard by the state as well. So we should keep up with that as well.
So can I just clarify?
Uh-huh.
Catch basin, we're just taking off the
4 foot.
the 4 foot, not adding anything else, we're just, so that's done. So curb stop, so do we want to maybe just put a notation, see water department regulations?
Yep.
Yeah, I just hate to see
Curb
it,
stop, see water department regulations.
it's up to the board, but I just hate to see it disappear when we have water lines everywhere. You know, plus if they read that they'll go check with the water department if it's in town to find out where the water line is before they rip it out.
Okay, so does that
Raj?
sound reasonable?
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Drew's got another one.
I'm a little confused by some of these terms in here. I mean, now I see corporation stop. The corporation is what goes right on the main, it's threaded right into the main. Page 5, middle,
In the middle, deleted item.
yeah, corporation stop, it says. That's, there's not gonna be an engineer on this planet that looks at that, it's gonna be the water department. You know, that's theirs. And they're gonna thumb their nose at an engineer.
I think if you put curb stop,
So page 5, right here, corporation stop, and it, you know, and you're right, and I think that might be some of the reasons this stuff isn't in here.
Yeah,
And that's why, you know, why do we have, it's like we brought over a bunch of definitions, you know, over the course
Exactly.
of time.
Yeah.
And now we're realizing, you know, this is just making it confusing and a bigger document than this really needs to be.
because every water service has a corporation.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
So we're leaving that as deleted?
We're leaving that as deleted.
Yeah.
That really is, that's
Yeah.
pure water
they're gonna have.
department.
Yeah, that's just clutter for you. But the curb stop, I think remains on the surface.
So we're gonna keep that as a reference to go.
Go check.
Talk to your local water department guy.
Okay.
Okay.
So detention basin, is that because now it's called the retention? Is that why they're getting rid of the detention?
So,
And actually, the state's preferring groundwater recharge.
so I don't know why that's deleted, but, you know, at least my, I'm no site expert, but detention and retention are two different things, in the basin construction world.
Oh, well, the retention holds it, period. Detention holds it for now and lets it
And
go.
then lets it release.
Right. That's why you have a 15-inch pipe with a 6-inch orifice on it, because it only can let so much out at a time.
Yeah. So, but again, is that ever talked about in here, or is that?
I think it can go.
Right.
You know.
And is that in the highway regs? And I'm sure it is. You know, so some.
Well, I'm not sure if that would be, to be honest with you, a detention basin.
It would definitely be on, you know, any civil engineer's drawings, it's gonna be clearly laid out, identified how to construct.
Yeah, the drainage engineer is gonna.
It's in the site plans, I think.
Yeah.
Could we possibly get a copy of the highway regs and?
Yeah, so what I was gonna do is take these deleted ones and kind of go through those other regs and see if they're in the set of regulations that they should be in.
Yeah.
And, you know, just kind of note.
I just asked a question that really doesn't, for my own information. Coming out of Chestnut Cove Road today, I get right to the corner and there's a sewer.
Sewer?
Sewer. The lid says sewer. It's in the roadway. It says sewer.
Oh, that's probably the cover we got. We just did Chestnut Cove, didn't we?
It's not a drain.
No, it probably is a drain.
There's no sewer either, I'm sure.
Roger, is that right where it meets 28A?
That's probably a catch basin underneath there.
No, there's no.
Is there a brook
There's no
coming down
break.
through the woods somewhere?
I would definitely take that up.
It's probably
with the
under
select-
drain.
Is that by 28A?
Under drain under there. And there's.
Roger, is that by 28A?
Pop in it for that, to clean out, so we can't.
If it's an intersection point, it should be labeled drain, not.
Yeah. The point you made, though.
Okay.
And again, that's one of those, you know, it's at the end of the job, and it's like, all I can get my hands on is this sewer manhole cover.
Right.
So will you let me slide for now?
Maybe that was cheaper.
Then we forget.
We had one down the back there and it fit,
Yeah.
but oh, go.
Roger? Roger,
Go ahead,
is that,
Tom.
where is the location of that?
Right at the Black Point end of Chestnut Cove. Right, 3-4 feet as you turn into the road, on the left-hand side of the road. As you turn in.
I've seen that.
Tom, you can schedule yourself a field trip.
There you go.
All right.
No,
Let's move on. We're almost there, although I have a pretty strong feeling we're gonna have to come back to this construction observation.
Absolutely.
Hot and heavy. I had a note in here about, I think there was no definition for punch list memo, which shows up in 4.1, or punch list summary memo, which shows up in 7.2. And I think that, again, that's the closing out of the job. I think we ought to have some sort of a definition for that.
Yep, agreed. Because at the end of every job, there's a punch list. I know it is.
So punch list memo, that's how you want to word that?
Yeah.
Which also means that we should go look at 7.2 and.
I don't think you have to have a memo to it, but punch list is
Yeah,
a
punch
term
list
that is
is-
widely used in the industry.
Right.
But it's used as punch list memo and then later as punch list summary memo. And I think we should have one
So.
It's punch list.
and one definition for
Yeah.
that.
And that's listed in 7.2?
Yeah.
Where are we getting the 7.2?
That's on page 27. Oh, 6, pardon me.
Well, both pages, really.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's other things, when we look at the highway regs, there are many portions of his regs that exceed DOT regs, like the amount of cover over a culvert and things of this nature. We should probably start to line ourselves up with DOT and, like we did years ago with the septic systems. We were 100 feet from seasonal high water table, and the state is that. And the selectmen, every time someone came in and wanted it waved down to 75 feet, guess what? They got it. So finally we said, let's just go 75 feet, what the state does, and
But you have to take a happy medium when they're on the lake and stuff, whether they're into the ledge or where they can fit it on a lot to get the 75 feet. And a lot of these ones that we approve, there ain't really a good spot to put them.
yeah, this is, you weren't on the board when it was 100 feet, and now it's 75 feet. A lot of them want to go down even less than that, and that's, you have to deal with the per basis.
Because a lot of them, it's either they get the waiver for it, or they don't put in the new system that's junk.
Yeah.
And instead of letting it leak and go in the lake, we figure, well, get the new system in at least. it'll work.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right, so the next item I had on here was that last paragraph of 7.2 on page 27. So basically what this is saying is once the final site walk is done and your punch list is done, you can request your security return. But it contradicts the waiting period, the 18-month waiting period.
When did that come into effect?
The 18-month waiting
Yeah,
period?
because I know the road agent came at me as a cat one time, when Bob Bear's subdivision up there, we wanted, I don't know, remember what it was, $40,000 or whatever, after the road's been there for 15 years. And now they gotta put $40-some-odd thousand up on the chopping block and wait 18 months to get it back for a road that's been there forever. That makes no sense.
Right, I think they'd be able to get that back once the town takes that road over.
But they have to wait the 18 months, don't they?
Yes, because what do we take it over and it falls apart and the taxpayers have to rebuild it?
No, but it's been there. It's been built to spec and it's been all this stuff, you know?
And it needs a little repair.
Okay. Oh, any 10-year-old road will need a little, something.
So shame on them, they should have,
They should
have turned
say-
it over while it was still good.
That's right.
Hot potato. I told you that Bob was still alive.
You want to keep it private?
Oh, site plan regulations, that's
Oh,
right.
that's right, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, where is that?
So,
Okay,
Oh,
yeah, so
Us is gone.
its original source was in site plan regulations.
he's done.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I just
Oh,
turned
you
off,
did?
I turned off
We
the
can't-
video because it was overloading.
D3. So that 18-month thing is in the old site plan review regulations. That's where that came from.
Okay.
So what I was pointing out here is that in this observation guidelines, it just simply says, hey, you finish your punch list, you can ask for your money back, but our site plan regs say
Different.
18 months.
Yep.
So,
They should go
In case
congruous to
something falls
one.
apart.
huh?
That's in case something falls apart.
Oh, I agree, but I think that we need to clarify it in this observation guidelines, and it's not just once you finish your punch list and you satisfied the 18-month.
Now, should we have something in there that says that, they will be upgraded yearly on bonds or anything? And we should upgrade them yearly to stay up with inflation and everything else, so we don't end up like we did on, was it Chestnut Cove Estates down there?
Yeah, I think that would be included in the site plan regs and
Yeah.
the subdivision regs.
And when the engineer does his
We'll have something in there to-
review, he's,
Upgrade, yeah. Because at the initial, you just do like 110%. But, I mean, if that project stays from like year to year
Right,
to
and
year,
that's what we run into.
which sometimes can be a problem, like, you know, you come in for final road approval after 15, 20 years.
Yep.
Like, that should be done when your project's done, like, do the final road approval. Regardless of whether you're gonna come in for, you know, for the town to take the road over, those applicants should come in for that final road approval at that time, not wait when they want the town to take the road over. Like, that should be done
All that, and they should
way
be
back
getting,
when they're done with the project.
and they should be getting permits to build before they do the road, right? Before the road's finished.
Suppose that depends on,
you're allowed to get you need the wear course down usually.
Right.
I mean, the base course.
Yeah, the base course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't wanna see it happen again like Chestnut Cove Estates.
That Ridge Road.
Yeah.
Ridge Road.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That the bond ain't enough and.
And then,
Yeah, that's-
Save on Insulation was another one that's a mess over off Prospect. Because I know the town auctioned off 2 lots there. There's legal problems big time on them.
So that's a good point. I think
So-
we should go back to see about maybe some sort of escalation clause to sureties. You know, that if they're not, if it's not closed within a certain period of time, it has to be increased by a percentage or, you know.
Well, yeah, or it would be annually increased or whatever to stay up with inflation or
Yeah, good.
area
Remember
cost
that-
or.
So that means that annually we'd have to then go to the town engineer and say, I need a new estimate
for projects that are
The
going on.
developer's gotta pay for that
Yep.
engineer to do that.
The consulting engineer will do that.
Yeah, but I think that covers the town in case these projects end up belly up or the road, we end up like we were.
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
Nothing there to do it.
one thing, that the program that these guys use should, if it doesn't stretch out 20 years, will be plenty of money left in that, because if I use one of those things to quote a job, I don't think I'd ever
You
get
never
it
get
work.
work. And that 10%.
Right, then that 10%.
Yeah, but I think something should be in there to tell them that, hey, this is what is gonna happen. You know what I mean? You can't just say, well, you owe us another 40,000 because we redid it. You know, I mean, there should be something in here that says
Yeah.
yearly,
I think that's a good
looked
idea.
at, whether we do it or not, it's gonna get looked at.
Can we just go back to what you were talking about, this last paragraph,
So,
7.2?
yes,
Because
so.
it talks about as defined in the site plan or subdivision regulations. So what was, I'm sorry, what was the,
What page number are you on?
Back 27,
Back 27.
Yep.
the paragraph that's right before where 7.3 begins?
the last paragraph.
Last paragraph of 7.2.
So the way I read this was the owner, developer, applicant may request the security release, and the project warranty period shall commence as defined in the applicable site plan subdivision regulation. So basically, we're saying that you can ask for your money back before the 18-month waiting period starts. And
As defined in the site plan or subdivision regulations. So, so the way it's defined in the regulations is the 18 months.
but why are we telling them here that you can request that money be released?
You request it, you're just not gonna get that.
Exactly.
But when you request it, that starts your 18 months.
When you request that you get your security bond released,
What if the town, I'm just throwing this out there, what if the town says, okay, we'll accept your road in 18 months? We want to make sure it stays together and all this stuff.
I think that's what we're trying to do.
In 18 months.
Well, the thing about it is, say, my 18-month clock has started because I came and talked to you about it, and I don't want to give you the 40 grand or whatever it is. Okay, then if the road stays together in 18 months and the engineer or the highway agent, whomever we decide to look at it, says, yes, it's okay, then the town takes the road. If they say, nope, there's problems, fix it.
So,
Yeah, that way you get your money back.
Well, that way you don't have to spend the money to begin with, because I just hate putting money in town hall's pocket and just let it hang around.
Well, you can get interest on it.
Oh, yeah. You could buy a pack of gum a year out of that interest.
so I think the easiest way to approach this is just to cross off that part about that they may request a security release and have it that once all punch list items have been resolved as confirmed by the town engineer, the warranty period shall commence as defined in the
Yeah.
applicable site plan subdivision municipal regulations.
I agree.
Get rid of this whole requesting
Because that's
a
confusing.
security release, because it's.
Yep.
Makes no, yeah.
Well, I think you should look
You got
at
that?
what Scott was just saying.
Cross that off. No, I was gonna.
All together.
That
Good.
little
I'm wearing
blur.
out the roof of my mouth.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you can,
So-
if it goes bad, you keep it, you know, the town doesn't take it over.
So I agree with your comment about this 18
Oh,
months.
at Ridge Road, there was no,
Just because, say, like, Hopewell Road, like, that didn't really make any sense.
Yeah,
You know, things like that, but.
yeah.
Yes.
But the thing about it is, the second one say, yes, we're gonna take this road over. We agree that we'll do it, but you're gonna have to wait 18 months
Yeah.
until
Something needs to be-
we physically take it.
Yeah, because those regulations right now
Well,
are very strict, and they don't apply to situations like that.
you can't say that either, because if you want to take the road, it's selectmen.
Right.
The planning board can't say, we're gonna wait 18 months to take that road.
Oh, understood.
And guaranteed, if they come in front of the selectmen, we're gonna look at them and say, well, you come back in 18 months and then we'll discuss it.
Well, but you need, I really think you need to look at another avenue. Because, you know, just like Bob Bear, yeah, he can afford it, you know? But, you know, 40 grand for a lot of people, say, they're gonna have a freak out. And so the selectmen can agree that we'll take this road over.
To me, 40 grand, if you put, say, 4 houses in there, 40 grand ain't a lot for that, to put in that bank to hold.
Well,
It does cut into your profit,
well,
but it ain't a lot to hold in case that road goes belly up and you leave.
but the thing about it is I'm still offering a free,
Ways of placing a security on something.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, yeah, you could throw the cash into an escrow account
Well,
and that,
Or you can get bonded
and earn your
Right.
.0006 interest on it while it's in there, or you go buy a bond for, you know, whatever it is, 1.2% or, you know, and.
Yeah, I just think the town has to be protected on it so we don't end
Yeah.
up belly up again.
Yep.
yeah, and I'm offering a protection to the town. It's just,
Right.
you agree that you'll take it now, but you don't actually physically take it till 18 months later to make sure that the road stands up. I don't know, it's another avenue.
All right, so the last one I had on my list, 7.3, which is at the, looks like the bottom of page 27. The official name of the regulation references subdivision, so,
Are you?
Is it different in,
Where are you, Joe?
I don't know where I am. I'm getting tired, guys. Bear with me.
7.3?
Page
Page
27 at the bottom.
Yeah, so security and.
Page 27.
Yeah, look at that, security and security release.
Right, we're talking about the security and the security
Regulations.
release, I suppose, security and release.
Yeah, and it says subdivision and site plan review regulations, which we don't have. We have
Yeah.
subdivision regulations and we have site plan review regulations. It's not one document, it's two.
Thank you. That might have been what the point I was trying to make.
I think that's what it was. I think it's okay, the way it's written. But this might do subdivision regulations and site plan review regulations. Just put the word regulation, subdivision.
Yeah,
I agree, because it looks like it's one document.
yeah, it does.
Okay.
Okay. That's it. That must have been what I meant. Thanks for,
Had to have been.
thanks for clearing me up. That's everything that I had. I don't know if you guys got anything else, anything more? I think
Not
we
at the
got-
moment.
Well, you did quite well.
Cool.
It's never easy.
No, but it's important work and it's good to get it done.
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely.
All right.
All right.
And stop and think how much work Nick put into it.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so currently, we have another workshop already scheduled for February 2nd. But I wanted to discuss that with you guys because they switched the regular deliberative session, which you usually have in January,
Right, yeah.
to February 2nd.
Oh,
And,
yeah, deliberative session's the 4th of February, and we've got them second and third.
okay, so deliberative is on the 2nd, and I need to attend that.
Oh, date's the 3rd, so you gotta have that one for you too, in case
Yes.
it's out.
So I think you scratch that week.
Yeah, so,
But this stuff is not time sensitive to the warrant, correct?
oh, the stuff we're working on now?
Yeah, these regulations, these are our regulations.
They don't,
Aren't,
they don't.
no.
Right, exactly. So we don't have to beat any clock that way.
This doesn't have to go on ballot at all.
Right, right.
So what we can do is, I'd have to double check that calendar in there.
Which date you want?
So look for February 9th. That's a Tuesday.
5 days before Valentine's Day.
Because master plan committee meeting is on the 10th.
Don't forget that, Raj.
9th?
9th is open.
Okay, so do we want to schedule, February 9th and then go over all the change, I'll implement all these changes we talked about. We can kind of look at it again, maybe make some more changes.
But hopefully not more changes.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you might find something else you see, but.
Read it a little tighter.
Would it be reasonable for the next review to have, would it be reasonable for the next review to have all the crossouts removed?
The crosshouse.
All the crossouts?
Yeah,
Save it as a separate file and then you.
Yeah, I have to save that, because you guys will have to present that at a public hearing, the
Right.
things that you've deleted and,
Yep.
you know.
You can move it to another file and.
Yeah, I'll make a new, yeah, I'll leave the way it
Yeah.
is, I'll make a new file.
And that would be, Bob, I agree, that would be handier.
Wording of
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be-
Easier to handle.
Yeah,
I'll clean it all up and make things a little easier for the
Maybe
next
that's why I
one.
go
It'll just be on 2 pages then, right?
Bar on the left side, so it'll show the stuff in that paragraph, but
Yeah.
not have.
anything you can do about the green and the red lettering? That's horrible to read.
I don't know, I'll try to look for the
Well,
email.
if you use a magnifying glass, you can see it.
Oh, okay, Tom. Look at him.
I'm already wearing
That's right, me
You need
too.
that. So I know you, if we're going cross-eyed looking at it here, you gotta be going really cross-eyed looking at it.
No.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved to adjourn.
I'll second that.
February
All
second.
right,
Every night.
Roll call.
February 9th. And, roll call, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bill O'Neill, aye.
Drew Carter, aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay,
And
good night.
that was all TV land saying aye.
Hey, Scott,
Scott,
Dave Hayden told me to say hi to you even though we talked to you earlier today.
Yeah, he talked to me at 7:15 this morning.
I think,
Goodbye.
I think he's having trouble adjusting.
Yeah, I think so too.
Good night.
Right?